Howdy, oh, what do you know, it's Rabbit of ScrubLeet Academy, and we are back in DDO today. The video I've got for you this time is one that was actually inspired by a viewer comment from 3 years ago. Well, 3 years later, I'm pleased to make your fucking day, my good dude. I just so happen to have a lot of time on my hands, and I'm not a fascinating person, IR freaking L. Having no friends really leaves one with the peace and quiet necessary to devote oneself to super nerd bullshit. And I took great liberty to research this very, very well. So the comment is, could somebody make a video where they go through and tell you all the stat to damage options, what weapons or items they apply to, and the best classes for them? That would be awesome. Wouldn't it be quite awesome if some stupid asshole with nothing but time on his hands decided to do just that? Do keep in mind that this list is reserved only for items and effects that alter the attribute used for attack, damage, skills, or other effects not normally covered by those attributes. So that being said, I won't be talking about metamagic feats, feats that have a prerequisite attribute but don't actually change the attribute you used prior to getting the feat, deity feats, past life bonuses, or any other bonuses that give a universal accuracy or damage boost, or effects that boost base attack bonus alone. Any effects I didn't cover here, assume they don't fulfill the parameters of this list if they don't actually change the attribute, skill, or general number you use to perform those actions. So we're going to start today with 2 main statistics, but the video doesn't end here. No, not by a long fucking shot. There's just so much to discuss. I'm going to have to tackle this in bits, just to save you the hassle of an hour-long bore fest of bullshit commentary, with such winners as Alchemists are the single stupidest pay-to-win crap on the planet that only spastic assholes play because they like to explodify the whole screen and I win button all over the faces of digital non-existences. Or something like that. Not that I would ever hold that opinion, mind you, but one could argue. Strength and Constitution, then. We'll start with the former because I like to end videos on a high note, and all you tanks out there waiting for con options will want to stick around to the very end. I found some really interesting options for Constitution that you may not even have known existed. So, we'll start with Strength. Here we are, the Strength entries. Now it seems like Strength has a ridiculously low number of stat to damage variants already, doesn't it? And that isn't without its own built-in gripes. I posit that a variant of the Force of Personality and Insightful Reflexes feats could be given to Strength, in order to be used for fortitude saving throws. We could call it something like Immovable Force, and it would use the higher of your strength or constitution modifiers for fortitude saves. Think of it as bracing for a big attack or toughing it out when dealing with afflictions to one's vitality. You could justify it in your own minds, but that's kind of a good way moving forward to let strength have more non-damage options. Notwithstanding its non-combat uses, or even what the chart shows, strength isn't all that limited. Actually, it's weirdly enough, probably the most useful skill in terms of combat anyway, because it's useful for pretty much every weapon in the game except for crossbows. And even where strength doesn't affect a weapon's accuracy or its damage, it can be made to do so in almost every case. If you want my opinions, and I know how unpopular it is to go against the single stat, one-fits-all builds of 2022 DDO, strength is by far the best attribute to damage for any non-finesse character in the game. I'll even prove that claim before we really even get started on my list here. So, you see, Strength is actually easy to understand, since it's a prerequisite for some of the most approachable lines of melee combat, one of them being two-handed fighting, and it has the most modifiers, Tensor's Transformation, Rage, the spell, and the feat, Yugoloth and Rising Fury potions, a lot of physical alterations like Orcish Rage and Aasimar Scourge's Bond form, many enhancement trees that focus on physical attacks, especially older ones like Vanguard, and a bunch of other stuff I'm not even going to get into right now. I like to think my channel is far more for new players than it is for these super veterans who have relifed 30 times and are just coming in to see a new build. So my recommendation to you guys, the new players, the scrubs if you will, start by thinking of Strength as your 2 damage stat, unless you know how to make Dexterity your damage stat instead. You'll figure out pretty quickly that light weapons and quarterstaves are the main dex to damage items in the game anyway, and it'll save you a ton of building and fine-tuning for a build that, on paper, is the best, but will level like absolute dog shit on a graham cracker in practice. In other words, it won't be a palatable experience, and you'll probably need to buy a new keyboard at the end of your next DDO session. Now, what we're expecting with Strength here isn't so much that it will be used in niche instances, but that niche instances can still use strength. You won't find much use for the skill except for damage and the occasional stress saver when you're the victim of a Ray of Enfeeblement, or the unlucky title of a Hoarding Andy. Strength does its role well. It hurts shit with malice aforethought. So this chart's useful for the few things strength doesn't normally affect, like damage with longbows and shortbows via the bow strength feat, or accuracy for thrown weapons via the brutal throw feat. We just have a couple of honorable mentions, the first being Might's Reward, which is a trance in the Beacon of Hope tree tier 2 that gives you a sacred bonus to positive spell power. It's a very weird one in that it uses strength or wisdom or charisma in order to give that bonus. It used to be the case that Half-Elf Dilettante gave a bonus that was very similar in nature to bow strength, but this has since been fixed and the wiki has not been updated. So if you find this bonus, it no longer exists, so unfortunately, that's it for the strength options. As I mentioned, strength isn't really all that robust for this chart. In fact, that's all the stuff I could find on it. It's a very simple attribute with very simple applications, and you'll be hard-pressed to find somebody who can make a valid argument for why it's not a great investment for damagers. And I'm the dumbass who made a Reaper 7 pure fighter first life tank that could handle the shit. I know how the fuck good strength can get. So I promised a return to Constitution. I promised a powerful finding. I promised, well, far too fucking much. This is what I could find about Constitution, and I even bloated the list with a Barbarian entry. You tanks out there, rejoice no more. Even I had trouble finding a way to get more ease of tank building by limiting things to a one-stat-fits-all glove. There just aren't that many options out there, and if we're being honest, that's actually great for me. It means that tanks don't have to ignore threat-generating offense stats like everybody else by choosing charisma to damage, to pretty everybody to death. Still, let's break down this immense list of stuff just because we're here. The most obvious one is the Dwarven Tier 4 ability, Throw Your Weight Around. This lets you use your Con modifier with one of two selections of weapons, either all the axes in the game, of which you're probably only going to be using just the one type, or all the picks and hammers in the game, of which, once again, you're likely not using more than one or two. For tanks, this is an amazing perk though. Drill up that con score and put just enough in strength to qualify for hits and criticals, and you're well on your way to being a regular old Kensai fucking Chad beast, tearing through the streets of Stormreach with your focus weapon and no wasted points and stupid-ass fucking Vanguard. On top of that, Uncor's Cleaver, the weapon, got a massive overhaul. If you want to use battle axes, and you aren't a surly drunk, dwarf, this leaves you with a niche option that actually will make you a one-stat fucking twink. Finally, the Barbarian entry is really only for pure 20 Barbies, and it gives you the ability to basically not care about saving throws for will saves. Once again, a massive tanking advantage, truly making the Occult Slayer the go-to tanker tree for Barbarians who want to take their craft super motherfucking duper serially. Now, I was thinking I would make this a separate entry, but we're going to be really busy with the other attributes on this list, and this is the only place for these. We have a few choice inclusions that aren't direct attributes, but do alter how you use certain abilities. The Shintao enhancement Key Shout lets you use your concentration score for an Intimidate check, sharing a cooldown with Intimidate and letting monks in on the tanking scene. Also, the Half-Orc Lock Bash lets you attempt to pick a locked door, chest, or other item by using your Intimidate skill and your Strength modifier, acting as a sorta strength variant of the Knock spell. But kinda like Knock, you're not actually using tools to pick the lock, so you don't get the bonuses of Thieves' Tools. That being said, chances are good you won't need those bonuses if you spec out your Intimidate skill. And that's it. That's all I found for these stats. If you enjoy this content, show your support in the comments section down below and like and share this thing everywhere people is. If you didn't, then still hit the like button and leave a comment. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.